Kosovo. Have you seen this meme from The Simpsons predicting a war between Kosovo and Serbia in the autumn of 2023? That's weird, especially on all of the news that The Simpsons continues to predict things that are true, such as the Titan sub. There was an episode where a submarine was lost in the Titanic and running out of air and stuck somewhere. Not only, though, on this episode about the war between Serbia and Kosovo in the autumn of 2023, which we are quickly approaching, but in the same episode, in that same year, The Simpsons go to the theater where a movie called Oppenheimer is playing. This is the year 2023. There is a movie named Oppenheimer playing. I don't know what to make of this, you guys. I am not sure if The Simpsons are just a quantum leap of time and space. I don't know. I do know today, though, that tensions are increasing between Kosovo and Serbia. This was parliamentary session today in Kosovo. Watch. All right, so that's hardcore, right? What was happening, what you saw just there, was Prime Minister Albin Kurti speaking. He's an opposition, and he's a prime minister. An opposition lawmaker threw water on him, and then all hell broke loose. Men, women, didn't matter. They all dived right in. The prime minister had been speaking about government measures to diffuse tensions with ethnic Serbs in the north of the country. Now, tensions have been high since recent elections in which ethnic Serbs in the region just sat out the elections in protest, which meant they had a turnout of a paltry 4% of the population voting. Now, in May, as tensions began to grow in the wake of those elections, NATO started sending in what they call peacekeepers or troops to choose a side. The side of NATO is on the side of Kosovo. By some accounts, there have been up to 700 NATO troops already stationed there. Now, NATO says that Serbia must recognize the independence of Kosovo, which Serbia does not. So does that mean we should all recognize the independence of Crimea and the Donbass in Ukraine? No, that's different. NATO does not feel that way. They just...
No, we don't do consistency in the U.S. We don't do consistency in our government.
Or in NATO.
We can't do that.
Or in Western-led wars. You're right.
Well, unless you consider the consistent corruption. That is consistent.
Or consistently inconsistent, right? Some people can choose to be independent if we feel like that serves our purpose. There may now be another election in Kosovo, though, in order to sort of legitimize this government. Just today, Kosovo President Osmani was reportedly in talks by the French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz at the European Political Community Summit, and they talked him into perhaps running another election. Now, why, you ask yourself, would he allow the German and French governments to tell him what to do? Well, according to Serbian President Alexander Vučić, it's because the Prime Minister of Kosovo wants to be the new Zelensky. This is something he's been warning us about repeatedly. I don't know that if my children said that was a life ambition, I might talk them out of being the new Zelensky, but everyone's got a goal, right? To each his own. Earlier this month, President Vučić said this, and this is at least the second time that I've seen him say this. He says that Kurti just wants to be the new Zelensky. While the offensive of Ukraine starts, you'll see an additional offensive of Kurti in the Republic of Kosovo. I ask the people of the Republic of Kosovo to be careful, to just take shelter for a while. I'm afraid that this terror will become even fiercer. So let's draw these parallels, shall we? Ethnic Russians in the Donbass have been being attacked since 2014 by the Ukrainian military because they opposed Western alliance by the Maidan coup. So in Kosovo, now ethnic Serbs who live there and do not recognize Kosovo as an independent place are, I want to say, prejudiced against by people who feel that Kosovo should be independent. So if you can make yourself a Zelensky, then you got a fight on your hands that you can sell the Western world, right? And so what he's warning there is that this guy wants to be the new Zelensky, make his war, let's say, Vogue cover worthy, and that this will, in fact, make it safe for the ethnic Serbs who live there. So this is what's happening there in terms of escalating tensions. He seems to think that Vučić seems to think it will simmer down. I don't know on what basis he thinks that will be happening. And because once NATO is there, we'll see. If NATO makes a Zelensky out of Kurti, then NATO will simultaneously be fighting against independence in Donbass and for independence in Kosovo. So yes, I think we've drawn out that contradiction. So are the Simpsons right about predicting world events, and will there in fact be an ethnic war in Kosovo supported by NATO? We'll have to wait and see. The American ambassador in Kosovo has spoken out and said, this is not a good thing. Violence is not supported. But we will see. We'll see if the West decides to draw a line, or if this is maybe not the sexy war that they need right now. We know that it's not about budget, because the United States will print money in order to funnel it into NATO, into wars. That's not a problem. It's not that we can't afford it. I mean, come on, it's war. There's always money for war,